The crystalline conference chamber aboard the neutral station Harmony's Edge had witnessed many historic moments, but none quite like this. Ambassador Liza Chen sat perfectly still at the polished negotiation table, her dark eyes scanning the holographic display of territorial claims floating between her and the assembled alien delegates. Beside her, Commander James Morrison maintained his military bearing, though she could sense the tension coiled in his shoulders. Across from them, the Zephyrian High Council's representative, Vexithera, clicked her mandibles in what passed for diplomatic frustration among her species. Her translator buzzed with mechanical precision. The human delegation continues to make unreasonable demands. Your species controls barely 12 star systems, yet you request autonomy over shipping lanes that have belonged to the Galactic Cooperative for 3 millennia. Liza's expression didn't change. She had practiced this moment for months, knowing it would come. The humans had been invited to join the Galactic Cooperative 18 months ago, not out of respect, but out of necessity. Humanity's rapid expansion and technological adaptation had made them impossible to ignore, though clearly not impossible to underestimate. Autonomous control over our shipping lanes, Liza corrected gently, not yours. These are routes that connect human colonies, passing through space that was empty when we claimed it. The Corinthian delegate, a being resembling a walking tree, with eyes like burning coals, rustled his bark-like skin. Empty space belongs to the cooperative by galactic law. Your species arrived centuries after these laws were established. James finally spoke, his voice carrying the weight of a man who had seen too many battles. Laws we never agreed to. Laws made by species who never bothered to contact us before we became inconvenient. A ripple of unease passed through the assembled delegates. There were 12 species represented here, the founding members of the cooperative, each having joined when they were weak, seeking protection and resources. None had ever spoken to the cooperative as equals. Vexithara's translator crackled, with static, a sign of her agitation. The cooperative offers membership, trade agreements, protection from the Void Hunters, access to technologies beyond your current understanding. What more could a young species require? Liza leaned forward, slightly, her hands clasped on the table. She had studied each of these species extensively. The Zephyrians had joined the cooperative after their homeworld was strip-mined by corporate fleets. The Corinthians had capitulated following a devastating plague that only cooperative medicine could cure. Each member species had joined from a position of weakness, accepting junior status in exchange for survival. What we require, Liza said softly, is to be treated as equals, not as a client species seeking patronage. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. The concept of equality in galactic politics was apparently so foreign that even the universal translators seemed to struggle with it. The delegate from the Aquatic Merlin Confederation, speaking through a water-filled containment suit, bubbled with indignation. Equality is earned through contribution to galactic stability and wisdom. Humans have contributed nothing but disruption since contact was established. Disruption. James repeated the word like he was tasting something unpleasant. We've disrupted the slave markets in the Outer Rim by offering better wages to voluntary workers. We've disrupted the protection rackets by hunting pirates instead of negotiating with them. We've disrupted the colonial exploitation by treating indigenous species as partners rather than resources. You've destabilized centuries of carefully maintained balance, hissed the Sithrak representative, her serpentine form coiled in diplomatic fury. Liza stood slowly, and James followed her lead. The simple action sent a wave of anxiety through the alien delegates. In their experience, negotiations continued until the weaker party accepted terms. Walking away simply wasn't done. Perhaps, Liza said, gathering her data tablets with deliberate calm, the balance needed destabilizing. Vexithara's mandibles clicked rapidly. Where are you going? We haven't reached an agreement. No, James agreed. We haven't, and we won't. Not on these terms. The Corinthian delegate's eyes flared brighter. You cannot simply leave. The cooperative controls 70% of known space. Trade routes, communication networks, resource extraction, all require cooperative approval. Liza paused at the chamber's exit, turning back to face the assembly. Actually, we can leave. That's what makes us different from your other member species. We don't need your permission to exist. The Void Hunters will come. Vexithara's translator struggled with the emotional weight of her words. They always test new species. Without cooperative protection, your colonies will fall. A thin smile crossed James's lips. Not pleasant, but not entirely unfriendly. Let them come. We've been preparing for that possibility since first contact. The chamber erupted in various alien expressions of disbelief and horror. The Merlin delegate's containment suit bubbled frantically. The Sithrak representative recoiled as if struck. Even the usually stoic Corinthian showed signs of distress. You would risk your entire species rather than accept junior membership? The question came from the smallest delegate present, a crystalline being whose voice chimed like broken glass. Liza considered this for a moment, then nodded. Yes. We would rather face the universe as free humans than live as protected pets. As they walked away, she could hear the panicked discussions beginning behind them. In 18 months of contact, no species had ever simply refused to join the cooperative. The very concept seemed to terrify them more than any external threat. James glanced at her as they reached their ship. Think it worked? Give it a week, Liza replied, watching the stars wheel slowly past the viewport. Fear makes people reconsider a lot of things, including the difference between protection and control. 3 days later, the cooperative sent a new invitation, requesting negotiations between equals.